Right, good morning, everybody. I'm Trevor Fortune on behalf of the library. I'd like to welcome you to this morning's session as we continue to celebrate Open Access Week for 2021. This morning's program is a very interesting program that will be presented by my colleague, Ms. Annalisa Mentempako, who is our librarian for research and reference support. And she will be chatting to us about Paywalls, open access solutions, and research visibility. Over to you, Annalisa.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for managing to join us this morning. In celebration of the Open Access Week, I will be sharing with you a few tips and tricks of how to get around paywalls. I am sure many of us have at least hit paywall once in their lifetime, and I think we all know how frustrating that feeling can be. So the Open Access Week events and celebrations across the country have adequately addressed the role of the open access movement and how this enhances the chances of opening up scholarship and access to research output. The discussions have sufficiently highlighted the importance of open access publishing, open access policies, as well as open educational resources. Those discussions all bring us to the purpose of this session today. So the purpose of this session today is to focus on the solutions that are available as resolutions to barriers to access to information, which one of them is a paywall. So because of the options of dissemination of content, you'll find that sometimes you will still encounter a paywall despite having that material being made available through open access licensing. Okay, so in my demonstration, you will see shortly what I mean by that. Okay, now I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, so what is a paywall? Just briefly, I would like us to discuss what a paywall is and how the system works. So it's a system that prevents users from accessing online content. This paywall usually pops up when you are trying to access maybe a journal article or an electronic book, and it prompts you to make a payment before accessing the content. The very painful thing about paywalls is that sometimes the abstracts or the summaries of the content that you would like to have access to do not necessarily give a full overview of what the actual paper or chapter of the book contains. So one of the painful things that happens with paywalls is that you pay for an item, and then after you've paid, you've got the access, you read it, you discover that it's not actually what you wanted, or it won't be useful for whatever you are involved in. The sad thing is that there is no return policy. So it's not like when you go to a shop, you buy something, you're not satisfied, then you return it, you get refunded your money. So with paywalls, if you pay for something, then it's yours, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, so these paywalls, they are all used by the publishing houses to restrict access to content, and to them, also a business strategy, because the paywalls generate 10-away hits, page views, 10-away on page views. Then they generate statistical reports to approach our institutions and say, hey, many of your people have tried to access this resource. Why don't you pay the subscription to it? So to them, it's also a payment, it's also a business strategy. And paywalls inhibit the user experience, especially to the general public. For some of us who are associated with institutions, higher education institutions, we have the privilege of access to interlibrary loan services. So sometimes once we hit paywalls in our institutions, we are able to send through a request to the interlibrary loan service, Depending on their lending partners, they will be able to source the item for us, or sometimes you may even end up not getting the item. Okay, so that inhibits your user's experience altogether. And unfortunately for the general public, there is no other way in which they can have access to this privilege of using interlibrary loan service. So if they don't have, if they hit a paywall, the only option they have is to make a payment or simply try and find another item. Okay, so I'm sure we've all seen similar screens similar to the ones that are on my slide, where you hit a paywall and you are told that the university is not subscribing to this content, or you are presented with the minimum price that you have to pay. Okay, so the advantages of open access minimize the number of turn-away hits that users experience. Open access also increases readership, and therefore maximizing research impact for research feasibility. Open access tools are free and open source, and they are easy to use and quick to set up. However, open access tools sometimes receive a reluctance from users, because the minute when something is free, there is that perception that it's of a very low quality. So you'll get users who do not uptake open access tools easily because of this reluctance. Okay, Dr. Mhlanga yesterday in his presentation also mentioned this in relation to the open educational resources. He alluded to the fact that the quality of open resources is always scrutinized because of the fact that it's free, and some users will also scrutinize the peer review process, the open peer review process. So there's also issues of compliance, copyright compliance, as well as ethical issues concerned with open access tools. So same applies with the extensions that I'm going to show you today. The extensions are free, they are easy to use, but when a person first encounters their use or how they work, there is a tendency to draw back because of not trusting the process of how these extensions are able to source the material that they provide. So the solutions I'm referring to is the open access browser extensions. For today's session, I have selected only 4 of these. There are many options that you can find on the internet, but I simply chose the 4 for today's presentation, just to make you aware of the options that are available. One of these browser extensions is the LibKey Nomad browser. The LibKey Nomad browser is part of a product known as a LibKey Suite. LibKey Suite is not a free product, it's paid for, it's subscription-based. So UWC has paid for this product. The product has 3 features. One of them is the LibKey Discovery feature, which is integrated onto our library catalog stage, which is Ukwazi. The second feature of this product is the Browsing app. It's an app that facilitates easy access to journals that we subscribe to as UWC, and it has nice browsing features. It's available as a mobile application as well as a desktop application. Then we have LibKey Nomad browser, which is what I'm talking about today. I have included LibKey Nomad because its functionality is in line with the movement of open access. So the LibKey Nomad browser extension facilitates access to articles that are available and those that are not restricted by paywalls. So that's the reason why I included it today, despite it being part of a product that is paid for. If you would like to download LibKey Nomad browser extension as a UWC user, this is the link that you can go to. The extension supports the 3 main browsers, which are Chrome, Edge, and Firefox. You can use this link on the screen, or you can simply do a Google search. The second extension is EndNote Click. EndNote Click is completely free. You don't have to subscribe to EndNote in order to make use of it. You can go onto a Google search and type EndNote Click, or go to Google Play Store and type EndNote Click on the search box. It will come up. You download and install it free of charge. So as I mentioned, these extensions do have a similar functionality. So EndNote Click also identifies open access content for easy access. It's compatible with Chrome and Firefox as far as I'm concerned. The third browser extension that I would like to share with you today is Unpaywall. Unpaywall is an open database that facilitates access to free scholarly articles. It harvests content from thousands of universities and government web servers. Okay, so Unpaywall is also free to download and install. You can download from Google. You just go to Google, type in a Google search Unpaywall browser extension, or you go to your Google Play Store. You type Unpaywall, it will come up as one of the extensions that are available for download. The last browser is Open Access Button. Open Access Button also facilitates free access to legal research articles. It provides immediate access to a free copy of a research article. Then one added advantage that comes with using the Open Access Button is that it allows you to request the author to make the article freely available to you, should it not be available on their database. You will see this shortly when we move over to our live demonstration. So to download Open Access Button, same with the other extensions, you can do a simple Google search, or you can go onto Google Play Store and type in the Open Access Button, then it will be available for download. I think it also supports the 3 main browsers. All right, so what does open access, paywalls have to do with research visibility? Open access publishing reduces cost restrictions. That's the main function of open access. Once the cost restrictions have been minimized, then it means that a person's research output will reach a wider audience. So these barriers to content are a way which is a good way to enhance a researcher's visibility, as well as the impact they make on society. So how can researchers document all this visibility, the impact, and the research performance? Okay, we have what we call researcher profiles, or author identifiers. So the research profiles assist with establishing an online footprint so that researchers can be discoverable and contactable. When a person reads your work, whether it's a journal editor or a potential collaborator, they should be able to make contact with you, get in touch with you, and discuss whatever it is that they would like to share with you. So when a researcher is not discoverable and is not contactable, they miss out on such opportunities. Having a research profile also allows for self-archiving options of research output. As some of us may know, we have what is known as Sherpa Romeo, which is where you can check open access sharing license policies of your work. You can go onto the site and check the regulations of what the journal allows for a researcher to make available through the self-archiving process. So this is another way of enhancing access to your research output, where you can self-archive your manuscript, whether it's a preprint or a post-publication print. that option is also contributing to the research visibility of the researcher. So researcher profiles also allow you to monitor your research performance and track citations. Researcher profiles are also a good way of linking other research media or social networking sites such as Twitter, Facebook, ResearchGate, and academia.edu, because now we know besides the traditional citation metrics, we also have altmetrics, which are a calculation of a researcher's work on the online platforms. So these are very useful, and you can connect these with your researcher profile accounts. So the main ones are Google Scholar, the Orchid, Scopus, and Web of Science. Okay, so Google Scholar, you have to create yourself and you update it manually. And Orchid as well, you can create it, it's not automatic. And depending on the settings that you set up on your profile, it can be auto-updated, or otherwise you can update it yourself manually. As for Scopus and Web of Science, these two are not profiles that you can just decide to create. They are author identifiers which are assigned automatically to every author who publishes in a journal that is indexed in one of these platforms. So if a journal that you have published in is not indexed on Scopus or Web of Science, then you are not going to have author IDs from these two platforms. You only get the ID on these two platforms if you publish in a journal and that journal happens to be indexed in their list of journals. Okay, so those are my slides and these are my contact details should anyone wish to get in touch with me. Now I am going to move over to the live demonstration. Okay, so I have a few search examples that I have here to show you how these work. Okay, so I've just searched for an article on Google Scholar. The one thing I want to show you with this demonstration is that these browser extensions, they follow ethical regulations. They are copyright compliant. There is nothing funny with them, or there is no other unethical way that they use to source content or open access content. If the content is not available anywhere else, they will tell you that it's not available. So it's not automatic that you will get an item regardless of hitting a paywall or not. So some have paywalls, but somehow the extensions will source them for you in ethical ways, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you won't find the open access version. So I've used this example. If you see on the screen, it's telling us that we don't have access to this material. Okay, so my browser extensions are not popping up, meaning that they haven't trouble with finding a legal version of this copy. Okay, so before I go into that, I have already downloaded my browser extensions and they're appearing on the top right-hand side of my screen where I'm hovering my mouse. So I've pinned them up here for easy access. Okay, so once you've downloaded and installed everything, you can pin them up here so that it's easy to access when you are doing research like I'm doing now. So normally when the item is available through open access somewhere, these extensions, they pop up their logos all over the screen. We'll see with the next example. But for this one, they are having trouble accessing this through open access platforms. It means that it's not available anywhere in through open access. So if I click on my lead key nomad icon, once it does this, it means it was not successful. Then I click on my EndNote click extension. It's also asking me to put in a Google search, which will bring me back to the screen. So that was not a success. Then my Unpaywall browser is up there, but if you can see this padlock over here, it's grayed out and it's locked. If I click on it, it says the Unpaywall browser extension could not find any legal open access version of this article. So the extension was not able to source this article, and then there's nothing we can do about that. Okay. And then if we go to the open access button, let's see what it says. I'll click on my open access extension. Okay, it tells me that this article is inaccessible. Okay, like I said, there is nothing unethical and not copyright compliant about these extensions. So when the item is not available, then it's not available. But with open access button, there is an option to request the item directly from the author. So as much as it says that this article is inaccessible, it says right down here, the author can make this article available to everyone for free legally. All you need to do is tell us how reading this research will assist you. Okay, so you go on and type whatever reason you have for needing to read this article, then you send through your request and then you wait for a response. So that's the added advantage with open access button. So the others, they simply tell you that no, we did not find any legal version, and then that's it. But with open access button, you are able to request, you are able to send this to the author and request a copy. Obviously, with that option as well, it's not guaranteed that the author will share the item with you. Maybe they will, by reading your reason at their discretion, they may be able to make it available to you as a requester. Okay, now I'm going to make a second example. Okay, this is a journal title article. I'll go onto my Google search again. I paste this title. I click on search. Okay, so when we get here, it's telling us there is a PDF from helio.com. So we can either click on the title or we can click directly on the PDF to access the article. Okay, so when we get here, my libkinomet browser extension is popping up. It says access options. The minute it says access options, I know immediately that there is a problem with finding the open access version. Okay, so if I click on this logo, my libkinomet browser redirects me to UWC's library catalog, and then it prompts me to sign in. Then I put in my login details, I click on login. Okay, so it's telling me that there is no availability of this item in UWC's inventory, but the libkinomet browser doesn't leave me hanging just like that. It suggests how to get access to this, which is resource sharing. Remember at the beginning, I mentioned that we as students and staff who are associated with institutions, we have this privilege of making use of interlibrary loans. So libkinomet now has rerouted me to our library catalog and has rerouted me again to the online form of our interlibrary loans. So it's already populated the online form. Mine is to just confirm if my email address is correct. The pickup location by default is interlibrary loans, but most of the time we are requesting content that is available online. So this doesn't matter if you can't change it because it will be sent to your email, the one you are providing here. So after that, you just send your request through to interlibrary loans. Okay, then that was for the libkinomet browser extension. So what about my other extension? Let's see what my Unpaywall is saying. Because my padlock is gray and it's locked, immediately I suspect that I'm not going to find anything. And yes, that is the case. If I go onto my EndNote click, okay, that wasn't a success as well. Then if I click on my open access button, okay, it says the article is inaccessible. And again, you can just fill in this box at the bottom. You can fill in your email and you can send through the request from the author. Okay, if I go back to this screen and I click on where it says view full text. Okay, this page redirects us to the paywall of this item. This is what I mentioned earlier on when I said the publishers put up these paywalls anyways, even if the item is available somewhere through open access, and that you will see with the next example I have. And they use these 10-away hits for their own benefit when they present the 10-away hit reports to our institutions for access. Okay, so sometimes even if the item is available somewhere, we will still be hitting a paywall where you are requested to make a payment. Okay, now let me close those two and make my last example. So this is another journal article. So I go onto my Google search, I paste my title, click on search. Okay, so here we have this link, which is supposed to take us to the article. And on the side, we have two options on how to access this work. One is to view it through UWC, and the other one is to click on the PDF, which has been made available on this open access repository. Okay, so let's leave that option. This is just to demonstrate to you that this item is available through open access, and there is the PDF link. But when we click on this title, we are hit with a paywall. Okay, so it's telling us to get access. If I click on get access, I am even told how much money I need to pay. So this is the paywall. So what I've done now will count as a 10-away hit because I've clicked on this and I wasn't able to make the payment. Therefore, I was not able to proceed with accessing this material. However, the very same article is available through open access. If you look at my Unpaywall panel on the right-hand side of my screen, it's green and it's unlocked. So if I click on that, it takes me to the PDF version of this article. So despite the paywall, I am still able to access this content through this browser extension. Also, my EndNote click extension is displaying that there is one item, and it's also popping up on my screen at the bottom left. So it doesn't matter which one I use. If I click on the view PDF, it's telling me that a PDF has been found, your EndNote click, and an open access version. If I click on that, it takes me straight to the PDF version that is available. Okay, so this is the PDF and I can read it. Okay, so that was my EndNote click browser. And for my open access button, let's see what comes up. If I click on my open access button, Okay, it says this article is inaccessible. Let's see what happens when I click on the link. Okay, it redirects us to the Unpaywall. So the way these browser extensions work sometimes differs, because you see with this one, through open access button, I was not able to find the PDF version. Okay, someone may ask, why do I have all these extensions whereas they do the same thing? The answer to that is what has just happened now. So two of my extensions were able to find me the PDF, but one of them, for some reason, wasn't able to do that. So having all of them installed on your machine is greater advantage because they don't take up any space. But if you can't access something from one, you can always try the other. Okay, so let's see what will happen if I try to access this on my institution. Okay, once it brings up this screen, it means it was not able to source this open access content for me. Okay, so there's many other articles such as this example that I've made here, whereas they are available somewhere, maybe on an institutional repository or on an author's profile, but on the publisher's platform, in this case, which is Taylor and Francis Online, you are told that you have to pay. So this get access here takes us to this screen where we are told how much we need to pay. So now imagine if I didn't have these two browser extensions that gave me the PDF. My only option was to make a payment to this item or simply give up and try something else. So this is the main reason, or this is the main functionality of these browser extensions. And as I said, there is no train smash in having many of them because they don't use the same technology or methods. So some will be able to source or filter through many platforms and bring you the open access and legal version of an article, and some will not. With this case, we've seen with the libkinomate browser as well as the open access button, they were not able, but two of them were able to find me this. So when you don't have any of them, then we would simply have ended on this page, because then it's telling us to get access, but we don't have that money. Okay, so that was my last example. And quickly, I would like to move over to demonstrate to you how to create a Google Scholar author profile. So if you go onto a Google Scholar, whether on the web browser or through your institution's website, you can go onto Google Scholar. I've already signed in, so I won't be able to get onto that link that says sign in and so on. So I've already signed in. Once you've signed in, you can go to my profile. You can click on there, or you can open up the menu, which will take us to the same screen. Okay, because I'm already attempting to create my Google profile, then I don't have the option where it's showing us how to populate and create your profile. But before this, because mine is still under construction, I won't be able to show you that. But if you haven't attempted any of that, once you click on Google Scholar and you click on your profile, it brings up an online profile where you can populate your personal information, your affiliation, as well as your email address. And then once you've done that, you'll have this screen where you can add your areas of interest, add your photo, add your co-authors, and also verify your email address. And also, you can add your articles manually, or you can configure article updates. What article updates means is that when Google finds something that it associates with your profile, it first gives you an alert, and then if that item really belongs to you, you give a go ahead for it to add it onto your profile. Okay, so if you don't set this up, you might end up with things that do not necessarily belong to you. Like in this case, both these items were not authored by me or co-authored by me in any way. Okay. So now I would like to show you an author profile that is already well established. So once your profile is already and set up, you will be discoverable on Google Scholar. As I mentioned, that one of the disadvantages of having a profile is to be discoverable and be contactable. So Prof. Sendizin, one of our lecturers at UWC, has an author profile on Google Scholar. If I type her name on the search box, this comes up and I can click on her name. Okay, and I can see all the publications that she has managed over the years. Okay, and if I am a person who's looking for collaborators, for example, I can see, okay, which areas of interest are primarily hers, and I can also choose to follow her so that I can get notifications when she uploads new articles, new citations, as well as collaborations. Then you just insert your email address, you click done, and now I'm following Prof. Sen. Anything that is populated or updated on her profile, I will also get a notification. So she's got that profile and her age index is displaying on the top right-hand side of the screen. The Google Scholar's age index is calculated on the last 5 years. So here in the middle column, you see all her citations, which are 301, but on the last column, it's saying since 2016, which is the current calculations that they are using on this platform. But still, that doesn't matter. You can still view all her publications. You can go as far as back as 1997. Okay, now I'm going to move over to Orchid. Okay, so when you get onto the Orchid website, you can go to the top right-hand side of the screen and click on where it says sign in or register. Okay, it says sign in for a new user who would like to register a new Orc ID. You click on register now. Then you populate the form with your details. Okay, so for me, it stops me right there. It's telling me that this email already exists in our system. Would you like to sign in? Okay, for someone who hasn't done this before, you'll be able to confirm your email in the below box. But for me, I've already done this. I won't be able to do that. So the alternative for me now is to sign in. Okay, once I've signed in, it will demonstrate all my information, my employment, my association, my education, and most importantly, my works. Okay, so if I had any works, my works would be listed here under work. If I needed to add any new works, I would then click on where it says add works and then select the relevant option. But again, my Orchid profile is still under construction, so I don't have any of those to add. All right, now I'm going to log out. Oh, before I log out, one of the things that Orchid is very important for is to sort out the name ambiguity problem that we have. We may all know that our names are not really unique. There may be another Annalisa Mente somewhere. And as you publish as a researcher, you may start out, for example, as Annalisa Mente, and then by association in life, you end up being Annalisa Mente Mpako and so on. So all those name variations, Orchid is able to combine them into one profile so that every time when something comes up under that name, it uniquely identifies it or associates it with your Orchid number, which is unique to you. So I will log off, sign out of this account. And then again, I am going to search for, on Orchid, I'm going to search for Prof. Sanderson to see if she's got an Orchid profile. And yes, she's got an Orchid profile. If I click on the Orchid ID, it takes me to her profile. Okay, so it's telling us the name is Sanderson. She's also known as Sandra. And this is her employment and education, membership, professional associations. And now this is the list of her works. Okay, so you might notice that here she's got 24 works, but on Google Scholar, I think she had more than that. The problem now comes down to the auto updates of all these profiles. Okay, so for your profile on Orchid to be auto updated, there are ways in which you can set it up on your settings so that it links to other publishing sites or repositories. And also if your institution is a member of Orchid, they are also able to populate and update your profile according to the research reports that they get from the research office institution, for example. Okay, but that all depends on the owner of the profile and how they set it up. But at least Prof. Sanderson has got her works, and one of the latest ones is a work in 2021. And if you go further down, there's more of her works appearing. Okay, so as an author, you see, if maybe I am interested in collaborating with her, it's easy to find her. I can find her on Orchid. I can find her as on Google Scholar as well. And whilst we are here, remember I mentioned that Web of Science and Google Scholar, you don't create, but they are automatic. So under other IDs, on the left-hand side of this profile, there it says Scopus Author ID. Okay, so she has managed to link her Scopus ID to her Orchid ID. So anything that gets updated on Scopus will also filter through this Orchid profile. So if we click on Scopus ID, let's see what we'll find. Okay, so on Scopus, we also have Prof. Sanderson's profile. And as you can see that there is quite a number of documents, and it's telling us there's 10 documents. Okay, so as much as she has published extensively, it's only about 10 of her publications that are indexed on Scopus. Okay, so as much as she has got many other publications, they don't all filter through to Scopus because some of the journals that she's published in are not indexed on Scopus. So that's the main reason why you will get these different metrics of one author. Is because of the way in which they choose their journals. Some journals will not be indexed here, but they'll be indexed maybe elsewhere. Okay, and then with Google Scholar, there is no index association. You just upload anything that you publish under your name. Okay, but with Scopus and Web of Science, this is the situation. Okay, so we only see about 10 of her documents here, and citations and co-authors. If you scroll down, you can see, okay, those are the works that she has managed to publish articles, reviews. Okay, and Scopus is also able to tell you if these are open access or not. So that's a conference paper, it's open access. That's an article, it's open access. Okay, that's an article, but it's not indicating that it's open access. Okay, so on Scopus again, if you click on the org ID that is displaying here, you can then go back to the Orchid profile that we viewed before. So this is the nice thing about linking your profiles together. When you are on one platform, you can quickly move on to the next platform. So it's easy. You don't have to log in. As a person who's interested in this research, you don't have to log in or have an Orchid profile yourself. You just go to the platforms and you quickly type in the person's details and you'll find them. Okay, so I have reached the end of my presentation and demonstration. If there are any questions, I would like to attempt to answer those.
Yeah, I would just encourage if you have any questions for Annalisa. Thank you, Annalisa. It was a very insightful presentation. You can raise your hand and we will allow you to ask a question. Thank you. There does not appear to be any questions forthcoming. This would then conclude our presentation today. Annalisa, thank you once again, and thank you for everybody who attended the presentation. I hope you found it as insightful as I have. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, colleagues.